need to be realised. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Noakes, and it is a pleasure to serve with you in the chair. And I'm grateful to my right honourable friend, the member for Preseli-Pembrokeshire, for securing this important, incredibly important and timely debate, and also for his recognition. The recognition has been made by a number of the honourable and right honourable members today that I am in many ways constrained by how much detail I can go into in this important and sensitive debate, and I thank you for your understanding of that. We've heard thoughtful, balanced and I think significant contributions by a number of honourable and right honourable members this afternoon. Iran's nuclear programme, sadly, is more advanced and worrying than it has perhaps ever been. And this is why we are so focused on negotiating a deal that returns Iran to full compliance with the JCPOA commitments and to do so as soon as possible. Between 2015 and 2019, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action demonstrated that it could deliver results. For the UK and the international community, it constrained Iran's nuclear programme to civilian use and supported the global non-proliferation system. For Iran, phased sanctions relief offered a more prosperous future for its people. However, Iran has failed to comply with its JCPOA commitments for more than 2 years now. Iran continues to upgrade its nuclear capability permanently and irreversibly. There is no doubt about this. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN's nuclear watchdog, has verified Iran's actions. And today, Iran's nuclear program is more advanced and worrying than ever before. The IAEA confirmed in August that Iran has produced uranium metal enriched up to 20% for the first time, and Iran has significantly increased its capability to produce uranium enriched up to 60%, as a number of members have mentioned in the debate today. It is impossible to overstate the severity of Iran's actions. It has no credible civilian need for such steps. It is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons to enrich uranium to 60%. And meanwhile, Iran has withdrawn from the JCPOA-agreed monitoring arrangement. This means the IAEA has lost crucial insight into the status of Iran's nuclear program precisely at the time when Iran is escalating its activities. And there is no credible reason why the IAEA should be restricted in its access. And there's never been a clear imperative to halt the nuclear escalation and for Iran to return to the JCPOA commitments. The diplomatic door remains currently open. But Iran must urgently return to talks in Vienna and engage in good faith. We remain committed to delivering a successful deal. A restored deal could also pave the way for further discussions on regional and security concerns, including in support of the non-proliferation regime. Whilst the JCPOA is not perfect, it is currently the only framework for monitoring and constraining Iran's nuclear program. We have fully upheld the JCPOA commitments from our side, including lifting of sanctions. From April this year, we engaged in negotiations in Vienna in good faith alongside the US and other partners. Iran stepped away from these negotiations in June after 10 weeks and 6 rounds of talks. The UK, France, Germany, the US, Russia, and China all stand ready to resume negotiations with Iran, and we want to conclude the deal that is on the table. And this is a substantial offer that is on the table from the US to lift sanctions inconsistent with the JCPOA in exchange for Iran's return to full compliance with its nuclear commitments. This is a both fair and comprehensive offer, but Iran has thus far failed to seize this opportunity, and we should be clear on this. Time is running out to conclude a deal, and we may have to soon reconsider our approach. Every day that Iran delays talks and escalates its nuclear program, it hurts its own economy and its own people the most. Iran's current action is not in Iran's best interest. With the diplomatic door still open to restore a JCPOA and to lift sanctions, Iran must come back to the negotiating table as a matter of urgency and pick up where we left off. In the meantime, we will continue holding it account for its nuclear escalation and wider destabilising behaviour. A number of members have spoken about British dual nationals in arbitrary detention in Tehran. The UK government remains absolutely committed to secure their full release and return back to their families and to their loved ones. We will not rest until that is done. But all members should recognise that their incarceration is the fault and responsibility of the Iranian regime. No one else, nowhere else. A number of Right Honourable members have mentioned sanctions regime. We currently have more than 200 UK sanctions designations in place against Iran, including those related to human rights abuses and against the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in its entirety. Members and Right Honourable members will understand that it is not useful to discuss or speculate future sanctions regimes because that might undermine their authority. We will continue our approach based on a combination of engagement, pressure and incentives. We want, and the member opposite made this point, we want to see a prosperous and peaceful Iran that feels secure within its own borders and that does not pose a threat to this country, our interests or our allies. And we are ready and willing and able to reach a negotiated settlement to that effect. It is now up to Tehran to seriously engage in that process.
Stephen Crabb, to wind up.